Can you give me a little bit of background about Supreme Queen and how you all came about?
Supreme Queen came from the sort of my first Queen tribute band, which was Killer Queen in
Right.
the early 90s. So I've been doing this or emulating Freddie for about 27, 28 years. Like the nature of the beast with the business, we've had a couple of name changes over the years, you know. Killer Queen, Queen on Fire, not our fault by all means, you know.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it for that long. The rest of the band members now, they've all been, two or three of them have been in various Queen tribute bands in the past, and we came together a little bit like that. You could probably say it like a bit of an accident, really, but it's sort of it's the right thing that happened, if you know what I mean. I started in a covers band in the early 90s. We was playing up and down the country, the working men clubs, the pubs. And we was just a covers band. And I think at the time we were a six-piece band. We were out all the time. And at one point during the sort of, as we got together, we all decided to sort of choose a song of an artist or a group that we enjoyed performing to or singing. And I think if I remember, I picked a couple of Queen songs because I liked all classic bands, really, not just Queen. But I think as I started singing a couple of Queen songs, it just seemed very natural. It seemed to come out that way. And I think I had this sort of feeling, oh, this feels good. And then generally we got the set together. As I said, we wasn't a Queen tribute band. We did 2 45-minute sets, I think, in the clubs in them days, in the 90s. And we ended up putting in a 20-minute medley of Queen songs, and it was done very quickly. It was like a greatest hits medley.
Yeah.
And that seemed to really take over the whole show.
Yeah.
Saying this, and it took a long time for us to actually become a Queen tribute band in that, because we were still semi-professional then. We still had jobs.
Yeah.
And working all over the place. And eventually, three members of the band, it took a long time, so we decided that would become a Queen tribute band. But obviously, the band members didn't stick at it. So generally, it took a few years to get a band together. And it doesn't always work, and then it worked. But we were still performing in working men clubs for many, many years, over 10, 15 years. And then it just built up. I learnt my craft on the road. So you're performing all over the place. There might be some places you don't want to do shows at, but you've got to do them. The agent says you've got to go there or this or that, because it was a bit green then. It sort of took a life on its own. But I also think I appreciate all that sort of legwork rather than going straight into, I think personally we all needed to do that. I tend to be a person, especially with music. I've always loved always music, not just Queen, but all music. But with the Queen thing, I tended to soak it up. I thought, well, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it the right way, I want to soak up all that knowledge. It come naturally, to be honest. Mostly it come naturally, but obviously as a singer, you learn on the road, you know, what's right, what's not so good, or, you know, and to different audiences as well.
Do you describe yourself as a tribute act? I know this day and age tribute act has a bit of a tag to it, a bit of an unjustly tag sometimes as well. Would you say you're a tribute act or a homage, or what? How would you describe yourself?
Well, we are a full Queen tribute band, and this is not to say anything like, you know, we're always learning. Everybody's learning. It was just something I wanted to do, and along the line. Along the road, I should say, you're wanting to become a better performer. So obviously, you can only do your best. A part of it is because I watched and I learned from Freddie, you could say, but it was naturally there anyway. I mean, I remember I know I've answered your question, I'll get to that, but I remember even when I was performing in the clubs for artists from other songs, because we used to do a lot of covers, because we was a covers band. So you do Elton John, Huey Lewis, Toto. I'd always put my sort of performance on that. But they always tended to come out as Freddie singing those songs. But yes, I mean, we are a Queen tribute band. The homage is to sort of the live concert era, basically, you know, because we love all that. Personally, and a couple of members of mine, we've all got our favourite eras of Queen. You know, mine are sort of like the late 70s. I mean, I remember 78, 79, Queen were just massive. There was always in the charts, and I loved all that spectacle. Because I've been doing it so long now, it's all I know, really.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have to do it. You know, some nights is good nights, some nights it's not so. But I see it as exactly what Queen had to do and what Freddie did. You know,
Yeah.
they had to tour the I won't swear the backsides off, really, in them days.
Yeah, yeah. You're bringing the music into the live circuit, so you are really recreating the classic years live on stage.
Absolutely. I mean, since we started, even playing the clubs, then we played at some arenas, we played all around the world, basically. But the thing that was always there, we'd go to another country, and there's always Queen fans there. And it was just a big spectacle. So Queen were always like that. I understand, of course, with the movie coming out a few years ago, you know, that brought another lot of fans into the sort of audience, really. Queen music and Queen performance, it's held the test of time, hasn't it, really? That's what it's all about. The show's very authentic. As I said before, we've all got our favourite elements of what Queen were about. So we bring that into the show anyway. And I always tell the audiences on interviews like this, you know, just so I think it's part of me to understand Queen were generally an hard rock band. You know, they wasn't, I always say it's not tiptoe through the tulips. You know, they were a rock band. And everything we do is live. We're very much so. Every key is the same as Queen performed when there was live performances. We generally, that's the show. Obviously, it's on a little bit less a budget, but we try to completely the full spectrum of Queen. But of course, with the theatres, we have to perform two halves. We tend to have a first introduction, a second introduction, and which usually the show's about 2 hours, depending. We have the guitar solo, we have a drum solo, which was generally tended to be, especially the drum solo, in the early days. I think Roger Taylor stopped that a long time ago. But for us, every sort of band member has that time to sort of show what they do. But it's all Queen, you know, it's exactly the same as Roger would play, Brian May would play. We don't go off that sort of structure. But saying that, the one thing about Queen there was a lot of room for improvisation, spontaneity with Queen shows. And I picked that up so I like those type of things where we can flow into a Queen song, but we're giving like a little bit of a taster to the audience. What could come, but it might not come. What might be in the set next time. That's just a little bit of a surprise we like to do, really. Wonderful, heartfelt thing about all this is you look out to the audience and you see the mums and dads and you see the little ones, you know, the sons, the daughters, the grannies. It's just pure. It's love, really. It's just pure, wonderful to see. You know, the fans just sort of loving the songs, and it's really. I know once again it's cliche. I know Freddie said this, but it's really a one-on-one sort of situation between the performance and the audience. It does transcend together. The thing is, as well, you've got to have the classic greatest hits in the set.
Yes,
but there's so many. I mean, Queen always did that. I mean, as you know yourself, basically on the tours, they'd always put in a few album tracks or things like that. But the set generally had to run as a greatest hit show. And then there was, as I say, there was a bit of room for some other songs and things like that. We tend to do it that way. But there's certainly always something really wonderful. There's certain songs that you can just feel it with the audience. I think them songs are like A Kind of Magic, Radio Gaga, We Are the Champions. That's a very audience participation, and there's nothing like that. And then you've got you've got other songs like ourselves. I do like some of lot of the ballad songs, and you can feel that as well. A lot of audiences like the early songs, and a lot of audiences like the later songs. You've got to find that balance. As all as we want to choose a certain song, think, oh, should we do that one? That's all right for us, but how's that going to come over to the audience? Personally, I think if you perform the song well and it means a lot to you, that's going to come over to the audience anyway.
Are there any songs which prove a particular challenge to reproduce on stage, Scott?
Not really, because what usually happens if we're rehearsing a new song, we rehearse it until it's tight anyway, and then we go and perform it to the audience. if Queen have done it live, we tend to want to do it that way. And I know Queen sometimes in certain songs, they probably tried to perform a couple of songs. I know in the early 80s, songs that were album tracks, and it probably didn't work. They tried a rehearsal. You can always try to attempt those songs. If Queen thought it wasn't right, it probably isn't right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we all have to complete. We're all on the same page. We have to be on the same page, you know.
Has there been any particular outstanding moments where you've had a really positive audience reaction that you maybe weren't expecting or anything like that?
They're always great audiences. That they are. I mean, we've played lots. Every place is wonderful, but there's certain places that there's something special going to happen. You know, not just for the band, for the audience as well. But I remember just after the pandemic, where everything was slow, a little bit slow, and we even was getting back to things. We hadn't done a few shows, but I remember maybe that was a situation of coming from the pandemic and then going out again. But I remember we performed at is it the Bolton Town Hall or the Bolton one? And we hadn't performed there before, and I don't know what it was. I like to think it was us, but I don't know what. But there was such electricity. We like people to watch and listen. You get that in theatres, they want to listen. But a lot of audience want to get up as well. But I know when we played this Bolton, it was very okay, straight up, you know, tops off. Let's say, like, you know, sort of men. I mean, that's probably women as well. But you know what I'm saying, tops off. Thought, oh my God! And I thought, okay. And that's happened a couple of times. So whether there's something in the water or whether that's what it's like there. And we love going back because in all the years we've done this, even when we started in the early 90s, there's been some wonderful experiences. You know, Asia, mainly all the Europe countries. Another thing which has always made the job even better was meeting people who were involved with Queen in the touring, you know, or personal assistants. Or even a person who, you know, even a crew guy who did the lights on the Wembley, on the Magic Tour at Wembley. These people have come in and they've all got a story to tell. And I mean, to me, that makes the job even better.
Well, it brings it alive and a bit closer to the experience as well, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, I think it was about 2000. I think it was 2000, 2001. I was fortunate to meet Freddie Mercury's assistant, Peter Freeston. He's got a YouTube channel. I'm not selling it, but he just brought out another book. A wonderful, lovely man. And cut a long story short, I think he lives in, is it Europe now somewhere, is it? It was LA at the time. But anyway, he came to see us. And to me, that was a wonderful experience. I'm going back now many years ago. He had an hotel in, I always forget where his hotel was, on the coast somewhere anyway. And I spent the weekend just at his hotel, basically. And not just me, but lots of people in the audience. I know I've gone off a little bit here, but generally we sat down and I was sitting one-to-one. To me, that was the closest, really, I'm going to get to meet somebody who was with Freddie in the good days, basically, and, you know, Freddie when he was not so well. And that was a wonderful experience for me. It was to talk to him about the tours, and it was fantastic. And really, to me, that was the icing on the cake.
Yeah. Have you played Cardiff before?
We have not at this theatre, not at the new theatre. We have done Cardiff, but Cardiff many years ago. But when this was going back in the 90s, these were like work social.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I'm sure you're going to love the new theatre.
Absolutely,
because the new theatre is a wonderful building. And it's I think it's going to be tailor made for your show as well. I think you're going to.
Absolutely.
I'm sure the audience is going to have a great time there.
Looking forward to it. Really are. Yeah.
That's it. So, I mean, obviously, you're going to be performing a lot of the hits. Anything else you can tell me about the show? Or
it's the hits, and there's a sprinkle of album tracks in there as well.
Yeah,
we do use pyrotechnics where we can. That was all part of the Queen phenomenal, really. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, with the lighting as well, we tend to do it. I mean, obviously, once again, the budget's not as big as Queen has, but we tend to do it in the way where people can. And people can see, that's part of Queen from that era. And the thing is, we're always doing that. We're always trying to sort of bring in new things and stuff. So we've got a few things planned. They might not be planned for that show, but there's certainly other things coming in anyway. So now the next time we visit, there'll be more things. It's a wonderful show. Whether you're just a general fan of Queen music who likes to listen to the hits, that's wonderful. If you're, as they used to say, diehard Queen fan, that's even better. You know what I mean? It's a family thing, because that's what
There's something for everybody in there.
Something for everybody, and that is. I know it's easy to sit here and just say, well, that's a cliche of fans, but there is certainly something about Queen music, even for us now, doing it long. What we see and what we hear, certainly what we feel, the sort of, once again, the phenomenon of Queen. It really is people, really.
Which is your favourite Queen track to perform?
I have to smile because everybody asks that one.
I'm sure they do.
And and there's no answer. I'll tell you, I'll say it again, and it might sound a little bit thing. I haven't got one because every song is unique. But what happens personally, I think for all the band members, and it certainly does for me, because we're all, we're a team. We all have to work together. We've all got our favourite, like Brian would always like the rockier songs or things like that. When we rehearse a song, that tends to become the favourite song.
Right.
But until it's sort of settled, I can't really put a figure. Once again, I like all the songs. I tend to like, you always like the songs that you don't perform. That's the thing. Because if you're going to do them songs, you've actually got to fit them into sort of a bit of a medley. So I do like the sort of later 70s, perhaps 77, 78, 79, stuff like that. So I haven't really answered your question, but they're all great songs to perform.